Live. No, we are not. Now we are live. Yes. All right. We had a false start there, but it's all good. Good morning. Welcome to the Business Octopus. And here today, we're going to hopefully make you some money or save you some money or save you some time. So if you, nice. For those non-visual watchers, listeners, Apple has some wonderful reactions. And Amanda is expressive, and sometimes they just fire off randomly. So you missed some fireworks.
Yes. Welcome to the show, folks.
always a party. So stop quoting and start selling. Now, I'm sure that you have spent hours and hours. You've done it. I've done it. You listening have done it. Spent hours and hours building some proposal, and you fired it off, and then crickets. Now, not just because that takes a lot of time to produce, and not just because maybe the selling proposition wasn't great, but also because maybe the customer was never going to buy, and so you've wasted your time on a small deal, and maybe the return for that has been small. So you've spent 3-4 hours or something beautifying some polished presentation and sending it off, and then maybe if you win the job, you might win a $500 job or something like that. I remember when I was trying to figure out some software, I was figuring out this new quoting tool, so I was kind of using it to test the thing. And I spent 3 hours building a proposal for a $200 job, and then they didn't go with it. So I don't know. What have you done? I'm sure there's some horror stories.
We've all been there. Spent ages building out a quote, and it's usually for something that's not in your zone of genius or in your wheelhouse. Like you say, you've got to learn a new piece of software or something like that, and because of that, you spend all this extra time researching. I think my record would be 5 or 6 hours on a prop, and not winning it. But now we've refined things, so it takes about 40 minutes, and we're winning a lot more. And so saving time, making more dollars, everybody wins.
I think you still need to go through the pain and frustration for the first few times, because you don't know. Like, the customer has asked you for a thing, and maybe you haven't figured out what your product set is, and you're using it to kind of like build materials for what other people might buy. And then once you get a few runs on the board, you go, I've sold 3 of these. Once is whatever, 2 is a coincidence, 3 is a trend. Now we actually have something that people want. That's when you should create a sales page, a product flyer, something that's going to get people over the line, because otherwise it's going to cost you hours and hours and hours doing custom job every time. Now, do you have any rules? I've got some rules of when we send a proposal, how it goes out.
That's a good question.
When it's just you, sorry to interrupt, but when it's just you, it's going to be really painful, because you've got to do every particular sale, and it's all of your time. But when you've got a team, one, it's really hard for them to communicate or come up with the challenges or problems. Oh, we have a viewer. Hello, welcome. Glad to see you. Thank you for posting. So getting back on track, like when you've got a team, that time can blow out. So if all of your team are going to create the proposals, there's another 20-30 hours, a week or a month that could be chewed up. So it can get very expensive very quickly. So we have some rules. Anyway, carry on. Sorry, I interrupted you.
I think no. So just coming back to what you were saying, your team needs a trigger point, right? They need to know, okay, when this happens, this is when we spend the time actually sending the proposal, right? Is that what you're saying? Just to come back to what you said at the start. Yeah. So for me, it would be when I understand the client's challenge, and I go, yep, I can see this is like, we have packages and we have add-ons to those packages. So when I'm like, yep, you are a contender for this package with this add-on, that to me, when I'm very clear on what they need, that's go time for a proposal. So that would be, I need to refine it. It's normally after the first or second conversation. But what's your trigger, Avon? What are your rules?
Well, we've got a sales manual, and everybody that gets into the sales position or role or whatever has to read through all of that. And if it's below $10,000, it's just an email. Like there's no point creating this whole beautified proposal. Now, yes, we have packages, but even if it's custom, we're not going to go creating a thing. We'll say, hey, it's close to this package, or here's some examples of what other people have. But for you, we're going to do this, 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 and this, just in dot points. And here's the price. Because if we spend all of that time, like the sales time, if it's like if you spend 3 hours and three billable hours, let's just say $200 an hour, right? So now we're talking 600. And if it's a $1,000 project, that might be half or all of your profit margin for that one particular project. So you're a lot wiser just to have like some standards to go. If we get to this point, we're only going to do an email. If we get to that point, then we're only going to send a sales page, provided it fits within that. So like for modifications to small packages, then you would say, here's the package, but we'll also do this, 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 and this for that price. And that's the email. So you could send the product flyer and give a little bit of extra context. But other than that, so $10,000 in an email, or you could do a quote. So now you would go your accounting software, and it's literally like an invoice looking quote. It's not a proposal per se, which takes hours and hours to produce. Yeah.
Yes. And you can save time as well. That sort of going off on a tangent, as Avon was just saying, if you sort of have your proposal pre-populated with some sales materials, that will make life a little bit easier for you as well.
Yes. So if you have with the quoting tool, we've got package A, B, and C. So there's that Ascension pricing model that comes into it. So you don't have to continuously reinvent the wheel. You can right size a package to the client, but it's only once the package goes over a certain value, that's when you go full custom, and like they're paying for the privilege and they're getting something that's unique. So for us, I think the packages go up as far as $40,000. So anything above it would be a custom thing. In fact, we might even do a scoping project, which might be $10,000, $12,000. It could last a whole week. But if someone's spending that amount of money, like if you're going to go build a house or something, you're going to pay for a builder to come and check to make sure that the money you spend can actually be done.
Exactly. And you don't want to get yourself into a position where you've kind of, horseshoed someone into a package when you are trying to ignore the fact that the scope is much larger, and you end up having to like hemorrhage money because you can't deliver within that package based on what they need. So yes, definitely take that extra step if required.
Yeah. And on top of that, I think, what you're sort of saying is like the bigger the project, the bigger the risk. So like I've got a calculator that works out a margin calculation on top of a base rate. So say, for example, if you've got a CRM build, and, for us in what we do, sometimes people want extra stuff. They go, I want a hell of a lot of documentation, or I want, priority support, or I want more training or something like that. And so sometimes we have these like little levers within the project, so that when someone says, I want it cheap, then you need a way to kind of say, well, what about it makes it cheap? And then they go, I want it yesterday. So you kind of need some way to say, not only have you agreed the price at this level, you've also agreed at this speed. So, we've got, standard, moderate, or intensive. And then, so if they get a project and they want it at a standard speed, and then negotiate the price to be this, then if they go, I want it to be ultra fast, intensive, then we can just change that modifier, and it adds a percentage to the bottom. So every line item in those sort of variables, so level of documentation, complexity of training, complexity of integration, complexity of support, depth of support, speed, all of those things, they're all levers that, we set that in stone and say, well, if you want a hell of a lot of documentation, there's a 10% markup on
Got it. Okay.
But then we send them those project settings as part of the proposal. So when they go to negotiate, we can start to remove those out, change the variable, but we have not incurred any additional risk. Because if they all of a sudden halfway through say, look, I wanted it cheap, but now I want it extremely fast. Well, no, you signed off on that, so now it's a change order, and you're going to have to pay more. So
that's right.
That has reduced the complexity of having to deal with, oh, but you said this and I said that. So having some level of what are your project settings, that would definitely reduce the amount of after close negotiation, because, you know, selling the thing is not the end of the story. You then have to deliver the thing, live in the project together for a period of time, and then do the handover and then have them happy afterwards. If everything's clear,
100%,
then everything should be hunky-dory.
So, and Avon, do you then, so all of those variables, if you like, do you include them like piece by piece in the proposal so there's transparency?
Yes, yeah, quite literally there's a table. There's,
cool.
It'll say the word, like speed of delivery, and then it'll have like a little sentence that sort of explains that. And then on the other column, it'll say low, medium, high, or standard, advanced, or standard, intermediate, whatever the language makes sense. But it's pretty much a good, better, best for each of those line items. And then for each of them, there's a weighting. So if it's nothing, then it might be, you know, depending on what line item it is, it might be a 5% loading, it might be a 10% loading, it might be a 15 or 20% loading. And then there's a calculator on our end that will sum up all of that score and then add that percentage. So, you know, if they had everything at maximum, it might be, you know, double, right? So if they need everything to the degree, like there is a lot of work involved in providing documentation for an implementation of something, or, you know, like someone sits there for hours and hours typing, or, you know, I know there's transcription tools, there's AI, there's all that, but it still takes a hell of a lot of time.
Hours. Yeah, definitely. Amazing.
Yeah, and when someone agrees that they don't want the documentation, that they can't all of a sudden turn around and go, oh, where's the documentation? They're like, well, you said at the start that you didn't want it. We're going to have to charge you extra. So there's no animosity or whatever. Like they go, oh yes, I remember signing that, or here's my signature on the document, and it's right above the signature block. So it's not like it's hidden anywhere. It's not like deep in the terms and conditions somewhere. We make it down.
Very obvious. Yeah, very good. So okay, so we've got like our project pricing, our custom pricing. What about retainers? Where do they fit into the mix here?
Yeah, so I think obviously everyone on the business side wants retainers. Everyone on the customer side doesn't want retainers. So it can be a hard thing to sell, but it can be very viable for both. So when, particularly with us, we do quite deep work, and we need to like get resources onto a task or a project, but they need the brain space to spend time to really understand the client, understand the issue, and deeply sort of connect with the customer. And so it's not something that's really easy to turn on or off. And so we say, rather than do this project, you know, like let's just say we do this massive project, we have to ramp up, we have to hire all these people, and at the end we have to fire them all, and then we have to start again with all the human capital. We haven't had time to train them, we haven't had time to build relationship with them. So retainers are very, very valuable for both parties, because we can say, we can commit an amazing resource to you that will deeply understand. We can kind of share the load across a number of other clients, so that we really understand your problem, but you don't have the full cost of a whole hire or something like that. But the value is recurring revenue. You sell it once, you keep them for a long time. The thing you then have to consider in order to retain that person is deep communication. So we have a shared workspace where there's constant updates of, this is what's happened, these are all the tasks that are done, this is what we've got ahead, and here's all the time that we've spent. And having that really strong communication takes any doubt of like, oh, what am I paying for? Because every month when they get that invoice, they're going to go, do I need this?
Yes.
And if you can show exactly what you've done the way, they're not going to say, do I need this? They're going to go, this is amazing, let's keep this up. And we have clients we've had for 2.5, 3 years on a retainer, and there's no sign of slowing. So
amazing.
and that will stop you from having to constantly requote the next retainer and then constantly lose and have to start again with another client. So retention is massive.
Amazing. So what advice can we give, Avon? I'm just thinking, if we've got viewers out there who are quoting things individually, where would we get them to start? I would recommend just deciding on a gold, silver, and bronze version of your services. So start with 3 packages, and then beyond that, I'd probably start with maybe some add-ons. So for example, if we have 3 packages around SOPs, building out SOPs, if they go beyond that package, we have like a little add-on pack, like add-on 40, add-on 60, add-on 80. So think about how you can package your services in that way. What do most projects look like? What do you most get requested? And then you can set them up in that way to make your life easier. Avon, what would you add to that?
You need to make it rapidly shareable. So make landing pages on site. Maybe they're not like findable, so you don't have to always put your pricing up on the page, but have a few pages that aren't linked anywhere. They're not linked in the main menu or the footer or anything like that, but you know where to find them. You could use some other tool. You put it in a PDF, but you need to have it rapidly shareable. I have it on a hidden page that I know how to get to no matter what device, where I am. I don't have to remember a link. I don't have to access a folder. I can just go navigate to this thing because I know the URL. And then I just grab that and I quickly share it in an email. Hey, it was great chatting with you today. Sounds like you'd be a great fit for package B. And please let me know when you'd like to get started. And so you've quickly shared the price. You haven't had to go and build a proposal. The package is standardized as much as possible. And maybe on that package, you've got service streams. And then within that service stream, you've got the gold, silver, bronze. So we have dev as a service. And then within that, we've got essentials, classic, and premium. And so they're our words for gold, silver, bronze. And we carry that language across. We've come up with our own branding for it, and we haven't had to, kind of rethink of it every time for every product. Maybe just use gold, silver, bronze. Easy. Everyone knows what it means. And from that, you can just create, like with your service streams, maybe don't have too many. Like try to simplify it as much as possible. So it's really like do service X and do it a little bit, do it a reasonable amount, or do it a lot. Like that's as simple as it should be.
Got it. I have a question. So so having your pricing visible somewhere online. So you said you've got a hidden page. I feel like whenever I have this conversation with consultants or service providers, they're either gung-ho about having their pricing advertised, or they absolutely refuse to. And I'm just curious what your take is, because I still don't know how I feel about it. I don't have it advertised anywhere right now. I'm also not opposed to it. Avon, what's the smart move there, do you think?
Well, like we've got a few people, and like it's going to be hard for everybody to come up with, all right, well, it's going to cost this or it's going to cost that. I guess you've got flexibility, like those landing page ideas. You don't have to put the price on. So you could say, here's package A, package B, or package C, and here's the dot points of what you get. And then instead of putting the price at the bottom, when you have the email, because you're going to send it to them eventually, whether you send it in a proposal, whether you send it in an email, or whether you say it over the phone, you're going to have to tell them the price. So you can't just have here's this arbitrary nothingness. So you could have a version of that landing page which doesn't have the price, which is publicly findable. So that's on your main menu. Then you've got a price version that you keep behind the scenes, or you just send them the public version without the price. And in the email, you say, I recommend package B. It's going to cost you this much. Would you like to get started? So
got it.
It's not that big of a, like whether you decide to put the price on or not is a small detail. I do because, I want it easy for the rest of my team to be able to go pull this out of the hat and go, that's what you need. So they don't have to think about it.
Yeah. And do you put pricing from, or is it pricing is XYZ?
If I'm doing packages, it's pricing is. If I'm going, if I think it doesn't fit within that package, I won't suggest the package.
Perfect. Easy.
Because at that point it's a quote. So you could use it as
Right.
like the pre-framing to, like, if you say, you know, it's from this, or it's between this and that, and subject to this review or something like that. So you could send that to them, and then they've kind of got the information, but they can kind of make a decision. They're going to go this way or they're going to go that way.
Nice. All right. Makes perfect sense. So there you have it, team. That's where you can get started on creating packages, so you're not quoting everything on an individual basis. Make more money and save yourself a stack of time and sanity in the process.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we do have another question.
Oh,
not sure if how relevant, but let's get into it anyway. Where did we meet? We were introduced by another gentleman by the name of Paul Kennedy. If anyone's around Brisbane that's listening to this, everybody knows Paul Kennedy. So
absolutely. Our esteemed colleague, Paul.
Just at a networking event. So for clarity, we sort of each run our different things. We meet here for a live stream every week, and the goal is to help businesses to grow. So thank you very much for your question. Hopefully that answers. But anyway, I think we've had a pretty good session today. I think we had a top of 30 viewers at one point, so that's exciting. Getting some notoriety, getting some traction. That's good. If you do like watching this and you've got any other questions, please let us know. It helps us figure out what to do for what to talk about next time. And if you got any other questions or comments, or you want to be a part of the Relevate community, you can check the link down here. And in there, we've got lots of discussions, deep dives. We do heaps of video content and walkthroughs, and we sort of show how to actually build the things that we're talking about, rather than just talking in generalities, because there's only so much you can share on a screen, and usually people are doing podcasts for this sort of medium, so can't really watch a deep dive on screen whilst driving. But anyway,
this is true. Not safe. Don't do it.
No. So if you are watching, I hope you stay classy and have a great week ahead.